Hey guys, Corey with Campbell ADV. We've got our Harley Pan America here. Pretty cool bike, actually like it quite a bit. A few things that I don't like about it. One of them being the foot pegs are a little bit underwhelming. If you're doing a lot of off-road riding, you stand more than you sit. So you want to have decent sized foot pegs, and you want to have foot pegs that have large voids in them to clear mud. You get mud built up on the foot pegs and you stand on them, and then the mud is built up higher than the cleats and your feet are slipping off. So it's a bit of a problem. That is the major concern that I have with the factory Harley foot pegs, which actually have some nice pointy cleats on them, but then we've got the bar in the middle here. And with that bar, the mud packs in here pretty good. They're quite closed off, and nothing clears on them. And they're a bit narrow. So we've got billet aluminum 6061 T6 foot pegs for it. So you can see that the length is almost identical, but they're about a third wider. We've got probably twice as many cleats on here, and we've got large voids here for clearing mud and dirt and whatnot. So when you're standing on them, you're standing actually in the cleats, not on the mud. I don't normally do install videos for foot pegs because they're quite straightforward. These ones are a little bit different. The foot peg retaining pin on this bike is different than anything else I've ever seen. Maybe it's a standard thing on a Harley. This is the first Harley I've ever owned, so it is a little bit, it was a little bit weird and took me a second to figure out what was going on with them. Instead of having a hole drilled through the pin that you put a cotter pin, it's got a spring-loaded tab. So when you drop the pin in, it just goes click, 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 and you can't pull the pin back out, which is great, which is what you want. But when you go to pull the pin out, it's a bit of a battle to get it out, or it can be if you don't know what's going on. So I'll show you how to do that. So we've got the pin here. Like I said, normally there's a cotter key that goes across there that you straighten out and pull out, not the situation. So we're gonna take an awl. You want something that's got a fairly small point on the end of it. And right here, there is a spring-loaded clip. So if we push that in, and then we can push the peg up. When you're doing that though, you want to make sure you're pushing the peg down so that we keep this part tight against here. If you don't, there's enough space that that spring-loaded tab will pop out between the two here, and it's a real pain to get that out. So with the tab pushed in, this guy pushed down, we can take our awl or a punch or a screwdriver and push that up. And then when we get into the middle, and now the pin is kind of behind the spring. So you pull it up, you can just see the spring there, or the pin I should say. And we've got to do the same thing again. So we're going to push that in and then pull this guy out, like so. So that's what you're fighting with when you do it. So we're going to take our foot peg, and inside the yoke here, there is a hole drilled. It's going to be really hard to see on the video though. And we're going to take the factory Harley spring, and we're going to put that pin in that yoke, and we're going to put it in like that. You want the long side of this spring is what's going back to the bike, and you want the arms to be bent, basically frowning. You're going to have a real hard time if you try and install it like that. So pin into the yoke, short side pin into the yoke. And then we've got a hole here that the long side of the spring is going to go into. And then we're just going to rotate the peg around like so. And then we're going to take our pin, which goes in nice and easy from the top down. And that's it. It's secure. We don't need to mess with this anymore. So that's it. That's all there is to it. You can go around the other side and do the same thing. Just remember to use the haul to push the spring pin in. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.